Hello fellow brawlers, it is time to brawl and I am KairosTime. Today we're going over Season 3, Week 2 for Power Play, where I show you guys the best brawlers for each Power Play map using actual pick rates and win rates sent to me by BrawlStats.com. By the way guys, Brawl Stats really is fantastic. If you're not using their app or the site, you should definitely be doing so, or you're probably missing out. Guys, now for this video, aside from just getting better at the game, playing the brawlers that I'm going to talk about in today's video is the best way for you to win more Power Play, and I'm also going to talk about some more of the strategy so that you can improve your skills as well. Also, if you don't have every brawler maxed out, paying attention to which brawlers are recommended most will actually help you decide on which brawlers to focus on getting maxed out sooner than later. Let's go ahead and jump into it with day 8 of the season, which will be Safe Zone in Heist. Starting off guys, we have Brock with Either Star Power, Jesse with Either Star Power, and Penny with Balls of Fire, all three with very, very high pick rates, meaning that they're played more than any other brawler over 700 trophies on this map. Now you should note that star players aren't included in the stats, they're just my own personal recommendation. In most cases, the brawler that you play is going to be more important than the star power that you choose. Now, the goal with these three brawlers is roughly the same. Shoot down the center, making it difficult for enemy players to pass through that main choke point on either their side for offense or your side if you're playing defense. Once you get kills, you can position yourself just behind the enemy river and that center wall, and then attack the enemy safe from a distance. Now, Penny should put her turret behind the wall over on the left, and Jessie should be focused on using her turret only when needed on defense or on a good offensive push. Now next we have Daryl with Either Star Power, Hyper Bear Nita, and Magnum Special Colt. Now the goal with Daryl is pretty simple. Focus on charging up your super, then charge onto the enemy safe and deal as much damage as you can up close. Also, if you can assassinate an enemy player here and there, that would be really beneficial as well. Also guys, I should mention that Daryl actually has a much better win rate and pick rate than Bull on this map, so he's definitely the recommended close range brawler. Now Nita is a really good counter to tanks, but her bear can be countered by Penny's and Jessie's bounce shots or splash damage or whatever, so you have to be careful when playing her so that you don't actually get in the way of those splash shots. Now Colt with Magnum Special has enough range to deal a lot of damage from the safe, and it's pretty obvious why he's pretty good. Now lastly, we have Snappy Sniping Piper, Dyna Jump Dynamite, and Extra Life 8-Bit. Now Piper, kind of like a lesser version of Brock on this map. She's really good at a range, but she struggles so much on defense because that once you get a brawler close to her, I mean, she just does so little damage. And this is absolutely reflected in her win rate that is below 50%. Now Dynamite also has a win rate below 50%, but in the hands of the right player, he does a great job at countering Jessie and Penny turrets, which is why I included him on here. Now Dynamite should go on the left or the right lane and use his star power to jump over the walls, thereby, avoiding those choke points on the map that you typically have to worry about. Now 8-Bit's very long range and additional damage from his turret can really just offer so much on this map. Also, we learned from the Brawl Stars World Championship how helpful Extra Life is in Heist, where gaining ground is super important, and if he dies after a great push, he can maintain position while his teammates make their way back up. Now, one thing that is very important to recognize with this cheat sheet is that it's not necessarily sorted from best to worst. It's first sorted by how often pros pick the brawler, which you can tell by the color of the win rates, and then secondarily it is sorted by win rates, so you should really consider things carefully. Now for this map specifically, my picks would be Brock and a Daryl, and then either an 8-Bit or a Penny for the third brawler. And if I were playing with randoms, I think I'd probably choose Daryl as my go-to brawler because he's really just so good. By the way guys, if you like what you're seeing in this video, let me know by subscribing for future videos like this for future seasons, as well as liking the video, and if you have some friends that also like Brawl Stars, sharing with them would be a huge help. Up next guys, we have day 9 of the season with Field Goal in Brawl Ball. Now starting off is Meteor Rush El Primo, Shell Shock Shelly, and Steel Hoops Daryl. Now El Primo and Daryl play somewhat similarly with the goal of charging up their super, assassinating enemy players to create goal opportunities. Now if the situation allows them to use their supers to get a goal, obviously that's more important than getting kills, but typically getting those kills is the best way to make those goals happen. Shelly has the lowest win rate on this list, but she's a great tank counter, so she should definitely be considered. Now next we have Healing Shade Terra, Da Capo Poco, and Nita with either star power. Now Terra should focus on doing poke damage from a distance while charging up her super, and then she can use that super to create those goal opportunities. Obviously she has to be really careful to make sure she doesn't waste it. Now Poco should focus on supporting his tankier teammates with Da Capo while also dealing damage to enemy players at the same time, and in Brawl Ball that does happen quite frequently. Another tip to Poco, if you have teammates that are playing with shields, try to heal them during that, and if an enemy is playing with a shielded type of brawler, then make sure you save your attacks until after those shields have fallen so that you know, they take more damage than without it, obviously. Now Nita is played as a tank counter, keeping them barely out of range, wow, and using her bear to push enemies back. Lastly, we have Healing Sands Sandy, Plant Life Rosa, and Protective Pirouette Carl, all three with lower pick rates, but they have the highest win rates for this map. Now Rosa is best played with a Poco to support her, but both Sandy and Carl are also incredibly on this map regardless of who their teammates are. There are a lot of great comps that you could play on this map, but I would go with either Poco, Daryl, and Rosa since they complement each other's strengths so well. But if you face a Shelly, make sure your Poco player is ready to try and counter that Shelly since she does such a good job at countering both Daryl and Rosa. And then if I were playing with randoms, I think I would either play Sandy or Terra since they're good really no matter who your teammates are, and the Poco double tank comp is a little bit more dependent on having that solid, you know, Poco and then obviously 2 tanks as well, which you might not have when you're playing with randoms. Day 10 is a cute angle and gem grab, and for starters we have Spirit Slap Jean, Balls of Fire Penny, and Protective Pirouette Carl. Now Jean and Penny are your center gem carriers using their center wall to protect them and throw out shots. Penny should drop her turret behind that center wall, and once there are enough gems on the map to win, Jean should wait for an opportunity to pull a gem carrier, allowing him to win even if his team is on the losing side. It's seriously, it's kind of unfair. Carl should play at the map over on the right side where he can easily keep aggro brawlers from getting close to the center of the map, and then if he gains control, he can also attack behind that enemy's center wall so that it makes it really hard for those gem carriers to even get in position. Next we have Rosa with either star power, Steel Hoops Daryl, and Healing Shade Terra. Now Rosa and Daryl can take either the left or the right side of the map, but they should focus on taking the left lane if they have a teammate who has a longer range that is typically a little bit better at playing the right lane. Now their goal should be to win their lane and then maintain position using the enemy walls near-ish to the center. And Terra is typically better played over on the right, where if she can charge up her super and win her lane or her side, she can then use that bush to be in the perfect spot for her super so that she can get an enemy gem carrier or even possibly do a team wipe, and it's so good. Now next is Bear With Me Nita, Fertilize Spike, and Healing Winds Sandy. I did want to quickly mention that Rico is an incredibly good brawler on this map. He does have a lower win rate, so I didn't include him, but for a pro Rico player, playing Rico over the right side is just, I mean, he's nearly unstoppable. He's so good. Now Nita and Spike should be played to counter any tanky short range brawlers on the enemy team, whether they're on the left or the right side. Sandy should focus on charging up his super and placing it in the center so that it bridges the gap between the 4 sets of bushes surrounding the gem mine, and then allowing your tankier brawlers to, like, you know, go in whichever bush and the enemy, you know, can't tell. It's seriously such a good play. Now for this map, I would play either Jean or Penny, and then any combination between Carl, Rosa, Daryl, and Terra. I know that's a lot, but there's a lot of great options here. If I were playing with randoms, I would play as either Jean or Terra, since they are both really great at last minute supers, making up for the mistakes of your teammates, who, when you're playing with randoms, that, you know, sometimes that can happen more frequently than you want it to. Now day 11 is Critical Crossing in Duo Showdown, and the most played brawlers for this map are Crow, Piper, and Leon, all 3 being very solid with either of their star powers. As a reminder, guys, the win rates for Duo Showdown are lower than in other modes because only the top 2 positions are considered a win, while the bottom 3 are considered a loss. Now Crow and Leon are all about poking from a long range distance while they charge up their super. And then as a reminder, guys, kills don't equal wins in Duo Showdown, so make sure you're using their supers very carefully as those 2 brawlers, possibly even just on the defense most of the time. Now Piper's focus is obviously to get kills from a distance while surviving. If your team can gain control of the center bushes around that, the center around the 1 minute mark, that's going to be when you have enough smoke at your back that you won't get pinched from behind. And that's one of the best positions that you can be in. Now, next is Jean with either star power, Coiled Snake Mortis, and Steel Hoops Daryl. Jean is best played with a brawler with a lot of burst potential next to him, as a teammate, so that he can pull enemies and burst them down before they can even attack back. Both Mortis and Daryl are actually really great teammates with Jean for this exact reason. Now, next is Rocket number 4 Brock, Extra Life 8-Bit, and Carl with either star power. Now, Brock is like Piper, but he's kind of slightly worse at long range, very slightly, but much better at close range brawls, especially with that Rocket 4 star power. Now, both Carl and 8-Bit can deal a lot of damage from a distance while having a ton of survivability to help keep them alive. They actually have very low use rates, but I really feel like they should be on this list since they have some of the highest win rates for the map, and they're really good counters against both Crow and Leon, who you're likely to see a lot of on this map. Now, personally, I'm probably going to play 8-Bit with either Daryl or Jean, since I just really feel like 8-Bit is so good in Showdown. And as far as playing with randoms go, I could really justify any of these brawlers, but I'd probably go with Jean since he does very well, very consistently, no matter who your teammate is. Now, day 12 is Junk Park in Siege. Starting off, we have Batting Stance BB, Barley with Extra Noxious, and Balls of Fire Penny. Now, all three of these brawlers have a very, very high pick rate and a very solid win rate as well, suggesting that they are absolutely dominant options for this map and mode. Now, BB specifically has almost a 70% win rate with such a high use rate. That is just insane. Now, the goal for BB is to push into the center and primarily focus on grabbing those bolts and just kind of like maintaining her position. And doing that, just hiding behind those walls, is going to make it very difficult for those long range brawlers to get in there. And then she can also use her knockback whenever a tank gets in there to kind of like hit them back and be like, hey, sorry, this is BB's playground, not yours. Now, Barley offers so much control because of the position of the walls and the fact that this map has a lot of choke points, which makes it very easy for him to know where they're going to be moving. Now, Penny should focus on charging her turret and dropping it behind the wall on the left or the right side of the map, which is just going to make it very frustrating for the enemy to get close. Now, next we have Rosa and Tick with either star power, and then Tough Guy Bull. Bull and Rosa should be played similarly to BB as really strong counters to long-range brawlers, and Tick should attack from a distance, save his super for when close-range brawlers get a little too close, and then of course try to counter any throwers that are on the enemy team. Now, lastly, we have Steel Hoops Daryl, Spirit Slap Jean, and Decapo Poco. Now, Daryl is played like other tanks, obviously, and then when playing Jean, the goal is to charge up your super and pull enemy brawlers through the walls into your Ike turret's range. And not only does this kill the enemy, it also opens up the map, making it much more favorable for Jean and harder for enemy tanks to really thrive, which this map has so many great tanks, so it's a really solid option if you do it right. Lastly, we have Poco, who is played very rarely but has the highest win rate in this map, and this is really because Decapo Poco is only really good when played with two other tanks like BB and Rosa, but when you have that comp, it makes it so hard for the enemy team to gain any control. Now, personally, I would play Tick and BB and then either Penny and Rosa for an organized team, and when playing with randoms, it depends on your playstyle, but I feel like it'd probably be the safe bet to go with BB as a dominant aggro brawler or Tick as a thrower who also counters Barley and Penny. Now, day 13 is going to be Crossroads in Lone Star. Starting out is Leon with either star power, Coiled Snake Mortis, and Carrion Crow. This map is all about gaining control of the two bushes above and below the center star so that you can use the walls to protect yourself from fire while assassinating anybody that gets too close. Now, Leon and Mortis are both excellent in doing just that, and they have a very, very, very high pick rate, around 7 times the normal rate, which is just so good. And what's even crazier is the fact that they still maintain such a high win rate with those pick rates. Crow is also really good, but his goal is to deal damage from a distance and steal kills from other brawlers who are about to die when they're fighting each other. Next is Spirit Slap Jean, Daryl with either star power, and Shelly with either star power. I really like playing Jean with Spirit Slap because he can 3-shot anyone under 5,100 health, which includes Leon and Crow. Now, Daryl can also do a great job at assassinating or running away with his super. Shelly can also work as long as you gain control of either of the bushes near the center. Next is Black Portal Terra, Rocket number 4 Brock, and Sandy with either star power. Terra is best played by charging her super from a distance and waiting for times when 2 or more brawlers get within range of her super so she can get multiple kills at once while also recharging her super. This takes a lot of skill, but if you do it right, she's so good. Now, Rocket number 4 Brock is great because he can deal damage from a distance, but with 4 rockets reloaded or loaded, he has enough firepower to take out all of the suggested brawlers aside from Daryl. Sandy has a very low pick rate, but he actually has the highest win rate, though not by much, with Leon having just slightly more. He can 3-shot Crow, he can 4-shot all of the other brawlers aside from Mortis and Daryl, which makes him pretty good as long as he's careful around those 2 brawlers. Now for this map, I can't decide whether I'll play Jean or Leon, but I'm probably going to play it safe and go with Leon. Then we have day 14, the last day of the season, which will be Hot Potato in Heist. Starting off is Rico with either star power, Berserker Bull, and extra noxious Barley. Now, once you learn all the ways Rico can bounce his shots on this map, he is ridiculously good. From one spot just behind the right center wall, he can control the middle, he can bounce his shots off of the wall to the right to further push enemies back and, hit around that block wall, and he can also prevent anyone from coming down the right lane, which should just, really, that means he can control and defend against 2/3 of the map, which is just insane. Bull is also super good on this map where he can burst down anyone who he finds in the center of the bush, and also, of course, charge down to the enemy safe with his super. Now, Barley should focus on countering enemy Ricos and throwers if you're facing one, and if you're not, he does a great job at defending against some of those tankier brawlers as long as you're careful with them and you fall back and keep your range from them. Now, next is Dynamite with either star power, El Fuego El Primo, and Daryl with either star power. Dynamite is good for similar reasons to Barley, though he does have a slightly lower win rate, and personally I feel like he's slightly less, easy to play as than Barley is. El Primo is kind of a lesser version of Bull, but he's still really good as long as he doesn't meet a Bull in the bush, and Daryl is also really good for the same reasons as Bull, and he actually has the same win rate of Bull, he's just not played as often. Now lastly, we have Home Run BB, Boosted Booster 8-Bit, and Healing Winds Sandy. I really like Home Run with BB on this map because she can dodge throwers and avoid Rico shots with her quick speed. And then 8-Bit is incredibly good because he can use his turret to obviously help his teammates deal more damage, but he can just attack from such a long range, dealing damage that safe, and deals so much damage because this map is so open. He's just so good. And honestly, I haven't even tried Sandy on this map at all. I didn't even think about it, but he has the highest win rate. You might want to take that with a grain of salt because he does have a very low pick rate. But he's included. Personally, I would play Rico, Bull, and either Daryl or 8-Bit for this map if you're going to organize a team. Now, if I were to play with randoms, I'd go with Rico because he can single-handedly play defense by himself if he needs to. And if I wasn't confident with Rico, which I am, but if you're not feeling confident with Rico, I would recommend going with either Bull or 8-Bit. And that is the second week of Season 3 of Power Play, guys. Now, once again, I really want to know what you guys thought about these Power Play cheat sheets. So far, we've done one entire one for the first season, and we've done 2 individual videos for each individual week of Season 3. These videos take a lot of time to put together, and I really want to make sure that my time is worth it to you guys. So if you want to see more, please subscribe, share it with your friends, comment down below, like it, whatever you need to show your support so that I know that it is worth it to you guys. Regardless, I hope you enjoyed the video. For now, guys, this is KairosTime ticking by, and we will see you in Brawl Stars.